On today's show, we're looking back at Gerrit Cole's 2022. We'll look at what went right, what went wrong, and what the future holds. Plus, is it possible that the fans booing Hal Steinbrenner at Derek Jeter's Hall of Fame ceremony kind of lit a fire under his rear end? Maybe. We'll talk about that too. So get ready because an all-new Locked On Yankees starts next.
You are Locked On Yankees, your daily New York Yankees podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Wednesday, Yankee fans. Welcome to Locked On Yankees, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Stacey. Welcome. I'd like to thank you all for making Locked On Yankees your first listen every day. We're free and available on every platform, including Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, and Stitcher. You can watch and subscribe to us on YouTube. Also hit the thumbs up button to like our videos and the bell so you're notified as soon as our videos go live. And please comment. I like looking at your comments. Most of you are nice, which is very lovely, and I appreciate it. So today's show, we're talking about Gerrit Cole's 2022. You take the good, you take the bad, you take them both, and there you have the facts of Gerrit Cole's 2022. Because when you look at his numbers overall, you think to yourself, okay, not terrible, not bad. 13-8 could be better. A 3.50 ERA could be better. 200 innings, nice. You always like to see your starters go up to 200 innings. 257 strikeouts, fantastic. That's the best part of Gerrit Cole's game is all the strikeouts he has. But there were also other issues, and we're going to talk about that in segment 2. But let's go through his better performances first, because we'll do this a little different. As I'm going through these player episodes, I'm going to be tweaking what I do and see what works better for each player. So for Gerrit Cole, he sets the new Yankee record with 257 strikeouts. He leads the league. And his best strikeout performance was a game against Minnesota on September 7th. Yankees won that game 7-1. He pitched 6 2/3, gave up 1 run on 5 hits, walked 2, struck out 14. Nice number. Another impressive start that he had, which was better for him innings-wise because he lasted 7 1/3, gave up 1 run on 1 hit, 3 walks, 12 strikeouts, didn't give up a home run in that one. He did give up a home run against Minnesota. Again, we'll talk about that in segment 2. But that game against Tampa on June 20th was big because Gerrit Cole has had issues against Tampa so far in his Yankee career, and that was the type of game he needed badly. And there were certain guys on Tampa that he had issues against. Ji-Man Choi, who's now a Pirate. I joked last week that once that trade happened, Gerrit Cole was probably dancing in his house to, when he found out that Ji-Man Choi was gonna be bye-bye. And actually, the June 20th game against the Rays, I have his stats on 2 different computers right now. That's why if you're watching me on YouTube, I'm looking in 2 different places. That start against the Rays on June 20th with the 1 run, 1 hit, 12 strikeouts, 3 walks was his highest win probability added game. He scored a 0.443 in that game against Tampa. Now there's another start here. Let's see. Amazingly enough, the Minnesota game in which he had the 14 strikeouts, his WPA was only 0.190. We won't look at the bad ones until the next segment. But like I said, Gerrit Cole's an interesting case. He's the guy that the Yankees spent all that money on And when he's good, he's really good. But he just sometimes runs into trouble, and you think he's going to get over a hump, and he doesn't get over a hump. Now, he did do pretty well in his playoff start in Yankee Stadium, because during his tenure so far, up until this point, he hadn't made a start in Yankee Stadium because of the whole having to play in a different place when COVID was happening. And, well, COVID is still happening, but you know what I mean. The season where they were playing in the bubble, no Yankee home games, and he had the wild card performance in 2021 in Fenway, which was the only playoff game for the Yankees. So, yeah, he got over that hump, did pretty well against the Guardians, and, you know, he left the game against Houston with the 2-0 lead, although he left with runners on base, and then everything fell apart. So, strikeout-wise, he had 9 games with double-digit strikeouts. And he had 19 games with at least 8 or more strikeouts, which is pretty good. Now, out of those 19 starts, there was a game against Milwaukee on September 18th. He only pitched 5 innings. He gave up 4 runs on 4 hits with 3 walks and struck out 8. And then there was a game in which he struck out 11 against Baltimore on May 23rd. He pitched 8 innings, but he gave up 5 runs. Didn't walk anyone, struck out 11, and the Yankees lost 6-4. And if I remember correctly from the show I did last week about Aaron Judge, that was the game where Judge, his WPA was ranked pretty high in that game because he had 2 home runs. And because of Gerrit Cole. It didn't matter what Judge's WPA was because Gerrit Cole kind of screwed up that game. Yeah. So the good things for Gerrit Cole: the amount of starts he made, the fact that he was relatively healthy, because 2021, let's just say it right now, if he were healthy in 2021 down the stretch and in the wild card game, things could have been different. That's all I'm saying. So he was healthy. So in a moment, we're going to go through what went wrong for Gerrit Cole. I'll give you a hint. Rhymes with comb funds. But first, did you know that over the holidays, property crimes like burglaries and package thefts spike nationally? That's why our friends at Simply Safe Home Security are offering 50% off their award-winning security system, so that more families can feel safe and secure this holiday season. Order your Simply Safe system for half off today and enjoy advanced security and greater peace of mind this holiday season. Simply Safe was named the best home security system of 2022 by U.S. News & World Report for the 3rd year in a row. Simply Safe is whole home security with advanced sensors for every room, window, and door, HD security cameras for inside and out, smarter ways to detect motion that alert you only when a threat is real, and even hazard sensors that detect fires, floods, and other threats to your home. Get 50% off any new Simply Safe system at simplysafe.com/LockedOnMLB. This is their biggest discount of the year, so don't wait. That's simplysafe.com/LockedOnMLB. There's no safe like Simply Safe. Thank you for making Locked On Yankees your first listen. For your next listen, check out the Locked On Sports Today podcast. Catch up on the biggest stories of the day in sports, plus get instant reactions, big game recaps, and the take of the day. Locked On Sports Today, available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. So Gerrit Cole led the American League with 33 home runs, which if he were a hitter, that'd be great. But he was not a hitter. He's the starting pitcher for the New York Yankees, their supposed ace, and giving up 33 home runs in a season is not good. Also, giving up 5 home runs in a game isn't good, and he did that against Minnesota on June 9th. The Yankees ended up winning that game, 10-7, because it's Minnesota, and the Yankees like beating them. But Gerrit Cole only lasted 2 1/3 innings. He gave up 7 runs on 8 hits. He had 2 walks, only 3 strikeouts, and he gave up those 5 home runs. Yeah, that was a nightmare game for Gerrit Cole. His worst of his career. And I can't remember who hit all the home runs, but that was a game in which Joey Gallo hit 2 home runs for the Yankees. So it was a crazy day in Minnesota. So, let's see. Oh, yes, Luis Arraez. Buxton hit 2. Carlos Correa hit 1. Trevor Larnach. I don't even know who that is. And I know I watched this game because it was horribly bad. And it was so long ago that Michael King got a hold in it. Poor Michael King. So Gerrit Cole, oh, that's right. That's right. He gave up back-to-back-to-back home runs to Arraez, Buxton, and Correa in the bottom of the first. And that was after the Yankees went up 1-0 in the first inning. That's right. It's all coming back to me now, like Celine Dion would say. Now, the only good thing is, like I said, the Yankees ended up winning this game, and the Yankees were hitting their own home runs because the Yankees scored in the top of the first off a sac fly by Josh Donaldson. So they're up 1-0. Then Gerrit Cole gives up the back-to-back-to-back home runs to lead off the game for him in the bottom of the first to Arraez, Buxton, and Correa. Then the Yankees come back. After Jose Trevino hits a single, Joey Gallo hits a home run, so it's 3-3. Then in the bottom of the second, Buxton hits his second home run off Cole, and it's a 3-run home run that makes it 6-3. And then finally in the bottom of the third, after he gives up a home run to Trevor Larnach and a double to Gio Urshela, Aaron Boone finally gets Cole out of the game. The Twins were up 7-3 at that point, and then the Yankees came back and won 10-7. Because again, Joey Gallo hit another home run, DJ LeMahieu hit a home run, Aaron Hicks hit a home run, Anthony Rizzo and Hicks had singles in the top of the seventh that made it 9-7, and then Aaron Hicks scored on a wild pitch to make it 10-7, and that's how it would stay. I forgot that the home runs were back-to-back-to-back. Wow, Gerrit Cole. That's just, oof. Yeah, that's a problem. He had a really rough go of it. And I mentioned this on another show when I was trying to compare Gerrit Cole and Jameson Taillon and how Gerrit Cole seemed to have bad starts. Like it was almost like every other or every 2 starts he'd have like a bad moment in them. Where Jameson Taillon is the type of pitcher to have like a stretch of bad starts. And that was the difference between the two of them. So he gave up multiple home runs in 8 games this season. The most obviously being the 5 against Minnesota, but he gave up 3 against Seattle, 3 against Boston. He had a bunch of 2s. Amazingly enough, though, out of those 8 games that he gave up at least 2 home runs in each of those starts, the Yankees only lost 2 of them. So Gerrit Cole was helped out by his team in those starts. His record could have been a lot worse this season. I mean, 13-8 isn't great for an ace. It's better than being 8-13, I suppose, but you want your ace to be better than 13-8. And my goodness, it could have been so much worse. And out of those 8 starts with at least 2 home runs given up, he was 3-1 decision-wise. Yeah. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. But that one game against Boston, where he gave up the 3 home runs, that was that infamous game when Judge kept hitting home runs, right? Didn't he hit 2 home runs? And yeah, the Yankees ended up winning that game 7-6. And Cole went 6 innings, gave up the 4 runs, 3 of them on home runs, but he walked 2 and struck out 10. If that's not a Gerrit Cole line, I don't know what is. And I always bring up that one start against Tampa where he had, I think it was, let me look it up. Because it wasn't 2022, it's a 2021 game. It was like August of 2021. It was a very strange line, and I always like to bring it up because it was just so odd. Yeah, there it is. Okay. So on July 29th, 2021, he went 5 1/3 innings. He gave up 8 runs on 6 hits, 7 of them earned, but he only walked 2 and struck out 10. What? It's so odd. I know we're talking about 2022, but for some reason, I would always bring up that start while I was talking about Gerrit Cole in 2022. And then toward the end of the season, I was confusing things and thinking it was this season, but it was 2021. So, yeah. Oof. That's a rough one. So, yeah, 2022 wasn't too kind for Gerrit Cole. Last year he was 16-8 in only 181 and 1/3 innings because he had that hamstring issue, but his ERA was lower at a 3.23. This year it was up to a 3.50, but he made more starts this season, which is a good thing. But the home runs are a real issue. He gave up 24 in 2021, so he gave up 9 more in 2022. That's too much of a difference. Maybe he can figure things out in 2023. So in a moment, we're going to talk about what the future holds for Gerrit Cole, which, we'll look at projections that are on Baseball Reference and try and figure out some of these numbers in a moment. But first, BetOnline.net is your #1 source for sports betting info, stats, news, and analysis. Get the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league out there. From football to basketball to soccer and esports, we've got it all at BetOnline.net. And if you love sports podcasts, you can find those at BetOnline as well. We're always the fastest and easiest way to get your betting fix. Speaking of betting, I say it every day. Aaron Judge, where do you think he's going? Seems like he could be coming back to the Yankees if Hal Steinbrenner is to be believed. But if you don't think he's going to the Yankees, you can bet on where you think he's going to go. So head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more. Bet online, where the game starts. So what would I like to see Gerrit Cole do in 2023? Well, I would like to see him give up fewer home runs. That would be fantastic. Now, Baseball Reference has a prediction. It's very similar to 2022, though. And, I'm sure Zips will be coming out soon, too. But the projections for 2023 for Gerrit Cole, very similar. Actually, the record is exactly the same, 13-8. ERA 3.47, so just below. Now, innings, they only have him at 179. And his strikeouts at 215, home runs at 26. I personally would like the home runs to be lower than 20. That would be great. If he can repeat 2019, that would be even better. That would be hard, though, because his 2019 was really amazing. He was 20-5. It's the only time he's won 20 games in his career. His ERA was 2.50. He had 326 home runs. I keep saying that. He had 326 strikeouts in 212 and 1/3 innings. That's amazing. Now, he did give up 29 home runs. I was thinking of the year before. Sorry. The year before, when he first went over to Houston, after he had given up 31 home runs for Pittsburgh in 2017, he went to Houston in 2018 and only gave up 19. And he pitched 200 and 1/3 innings that year. So yeah, Baseball Reference is making it so he's close to what he was in 2023. It's his age 32 season. He turns 32. So really most of 2023, he's still 32. And I just want his home runs to go down. I would like for angry Gerrit Cole to be the angry Gerrit Cole that strikes people out, not gives up home runs, because that's happened a couple of times. Or given up a big hit that, gives up runs and the Yankees go down instead of a game being either led by them or maybe it's a tie game and he gives up a run. But I enjoy angry Gerrit Cole when he gets mad if an umpire screws him and then he throws a strike at like 100 miles an hour and makes a guy look silly at the plate. I would prefer that Gerrit Cole to come back. And we saw flashes of him in 2022, but it felt like there were too many times in which Gerrit Cole got angry and then something bad happened. And I would like for that to not be the case in 2023. I would also like for him to stay healthy. He did in 2022. So if he stays healthy in 2023, I could see him performing close to the way he performed in 2022. I would just like his, well, win and loss record doesn't really matter because, as I said in the previous segment, some of those games in which he gave up all those home runs, the Yankees still won those games, in spite of or despite his performance. But I would prefer for the Yankees ace for his numbers to look a little better across the board. And everything else, I mean, it would be nice if his ERA went down a little bit, maybe to 2020's level. He had a 2.84 in 2020, and I know it was an abbreviated season. He only made 12 starts, but he was 7-3 in those 12 starts. He had 2 complete games in those 12 starts, although I don't remember which ones were. There had to have been a doubleheader that was only 7 innings, right, for him to do that, because I don't think he had 2 9-inning complete games. But yeah, I'm not worried about the strikeouts because, no matter how bad Gerrit Cole does, he usually has a good strikeout total. And yeah, I'm just worried about health because of his age, but he's not overly old. It's not like he's turning 40. He's turning 33 next September, so it's not that bad. So before we go, it seems that all the booing Yankee fans did the day that Derek Jeter made his triumphant return to Yankee Stadium and they were honoring him for the Hall of Fame, the booing that Yankee fans did to Hal Steinbrenner kind of maybe lit a fire under his butt. Because I mentioned some of the things that he said yesterday with regards to Aaron Judge and trying to get Judge back and making sure that they surround him with a championship caliber team. I really think that the booing actually did something to Hal. From some of the reports I was seeing today, he was very hurt by that. And I think, remember how everyone was talking about how horrible it is to be in New York because of all the booing, and they were booing Judge and they were booing the Yankees? Your booing actually may have done something that may help the Yankees this offseason, guys. Now, don't take this as encouragement to do it all the time. It just happened to work this time. So yeah, it's possible that the Yankees might pull out they just might do whatever they possibly can do to get Aaron Judge and to surround him with a good team so they can win a championship, all because of your booing at Derek Jeter's Hall of Fame ceremony at Yankee Stadium. So good job, guys. Good job. That made me laugh. Although I will say, the news of that made me laugh, not the booing. I can't even believe I felt bad for Hal. I did. Although I did tweet, and if you look back, you'll see that I said something to the effect of, he kind of deserves this, but I still felt bad. I did. And you could see he was kind of like, oh my God, I can't believe these people are booing me this much. This is so embarrassing. But yeah, it may have done something. So we'll see how everything goes with that. Oh, and 2 more things before I go. Brandon Hyde was robbed of AL Manager of the Year. No offense to Terry Francona, what he did with Cleveland was amazing, but what Brandon Hyde did with the Orioles this season should have been rewarded. It should have been rewarded. There was no reason for that team to do as well as they did. No one knew they were going to do that well. And yeah, I think Brandon Hyde was robbed. And congrats to Buck Showalter for winning NL Manager of the Year. That's all I'll say about that. So tomorrow's episode, we'll be talking about a hitter. Which hitter? I'm not telling you. It's going to be a surprise, and you'll have to tune in tomorrow. So that's it for this episode of Locked On Yankees, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Remember that you can listen to this show in Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Odyssey, Spotify, Stitcher, or anywhere else you get your podcasts. You can watch and subscribe to us on YouTube. Again, hit the thumbs up button, comment on YouTube, and click the bell so you know when our videos go live. Once again, thank you for making Locked On Yankees your first listen of the day. For your second listen, check out the Locked On Sports Today podcast. From the games that matter the most to the biggest stories in sports, go beyond the scoreboard and behind the scenes with local experts and insights only Locked On can provide. Locked On Sports Today, available on this app, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. One more thing, if you could be so kind, please rate the podcast and spread the word about this podcast to your fellow Yankee fans. We would really appreciate it. So enjoy your Wednesday, and I will talk to you all tomorrow.